One could argue you've been a strong proponent of consolidation and shared services. And I'm not advocating this yet. I don't know enough about it, but one could have one assessor instead of 20 assessors. I mean, usually assessor is a good example of types of consolidations one could potentially have here in Westchester County. Politics aside, from purely providing services and consolidating and sharing services and saving money. But right now, every town, every city has their own assessor. They do their own thing with the direction of their governing boards. And so only 2 municipalities have gone to 100%. Because Westchester County doesn't do that, when I look at our county budget, and we had to raise, I think this year, some $560 million, $570 million. You look at that as sort of, that's the pot of money we have to raise. It's a pie. And for the last several years, the county tax for Rye Town has been essentially zero. I mean, right on plus or minus a tenth of a point, which said that the property values in Rye Town, because countywide it was 1.77% last year. We were below that. We were close to zero. It means the property values in Rye Town were rising less fast than the average in the county. We were behind the curve. So our piece of the county budget was smaller, which was good news, or we had a zero tax increase. This year, the message to the town of Rye is your property values in the town, and I know it's a tough economy out there, maybe are dropping less fast than surrounding communities. So from the county's perspective, your piece, Rye Town's piece of that $570 million is a little bit larger than some communities. The city of Yonkers county tax was down 6% this year, negative 6%. Taxpayers are happy this year. 2 years ago, the county tax was up 24% in the city of Yonkers. 24%. Because that year, with all those building going on in Yonkers, that particular year, their values mushroomed, so they grabbed a much bigger piece of that county pie. This year, relative to everyone else, city of Yonkers was down, so from a county perspective, they benefited that. For school taxes and town tax and village taxes, maybe a good thing is spending didn't go up at all. There's more property value to lay the same spending. In those jurisdictions, the taxes, frankly, would be the same or down. But, usually spending goes up, but if everything stayed the same. But for a county purpose, because the values were growing faster, our 2.9 that I voted on became 5.2.
Right.
In a nutshell, that's what it is. I will be holding a town meetings on the budget January 28th in the village of Portchester, February 4th, and the Portchester meeting will be at the Portchester Senior Center. February 4th, I believe it's at 7 o'clock, I call these for us. February 4th in the Rybrook Village Hall, another meeting where the residents of the community can come, and I will go through as best I can some of the budget items and explain the budget and answer questions, and obviously you're free to attend any and all. But one of the messages is just understanding how it works. Again, Westchester County is, I believe, the only county that doesn't operate. If we sent out the taxes, if we were one tax jurisdiction, everybody in the county would pay 2.9% more. It would be even across. But as you go town by town, city by city, as you said, explained to you, there's different equalization rates. The state tries as best it can to kind of equalize, but it just doesn't.
No,
it just doesn't come out this way.
First, I want to thank you very much for coming here and explaining to the constituents and the board the reason for the increase this year, and I appreciate it's a relative value game, and in some years we benefit like last year, some years we don't. The only real question I want, and we talked about this in terms of, is there anything we can do? Well, is there a way to improve the process? I just wanted to encourage.
Sure, no, I'm happy. Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to address that because it's an interesting issue.
What's the timing? In other words, is just is just the I think it's unfair. Last year, Yonkers had to go up 24%. So I don't know if there's a way to mitigate the dramatic changes.
Yeah.
So that's the question.
Okay. Well, as far as that goes, I'm not sure there is, because property values are what they are, and the growth and the town by town. But the example, that Yonkers example, Well, let me say this first. In terms of the timing, municipalities are supposed to, I believe, Mr. Supervisor, send their information to the County Tax Commission, David Jackson, around October 1st. And if it all came in, but he tells me they don't all come in on time and there are mistakes, go back and forth, he eventually gives us all the information and lays out and what the tax implications are going to be. He just doesn't get that done until the end of December. One could argue if everyone sent their information on October 1st on time and it was all accurate and he can do his work and somehow maybe by December 1st he'd have that information. It might be difficult, if there's 4 legislators from the city of Yonkers, for example. If they saw minus, 24% increase, well, I can assure you, we just lost 4 votes on the county budget from those 4 legislators. It might be a 3% tax increase or a 2% tax increase, but if it was going to be 24 in Yonkers, they're going. And the municipality, the legislators start reflecting what's the impact in my town. And again, we really have no, even if we had the information, we have no control over it. Whether it's up 24 or minus 3, it's sort of, I would say, the luck of the draw, but it's the numbers, whatever they are. But you'd have 17 legislators, frankly, kind of now acting like maybe Paul, the old Board of Supervisors. I look at the budget countywide. We do what we can. We have services to provide. We cut back as best we can. We get it down to 2.9% last year, 1.7. So you know what? To provide county government, provide those services, that works. Oh, but it's going to be plus 15 in my district or plus 4. We may never get 9 votes. Because it'll just depend on where those numbers lay out. So even if we could get that information, honestly, I'm not sure it might create gridlock. Because it's relevant to my constituents. Certainly it's relevant. People say, hey, my taxes are 5.2 in right town, so I have to be aware of that. But at the end of the day, I can only vote on a budget, the numbers in front of me, and if we cut it back to 0, I could have voted on a 0 tax increase. It might still have been 3.5 in right town,
I think
even with a 0. So
we're not going to come up with a solution.
Yeah, so I'm not sure I even want to do it.
But I do think there are ways to mitigate there are ways to mitigate a potentially egregious increase. For example, I could just off the top of my head, thinking about it now for the first time, any increases to any community over and above 10%, or a certain, the top 5, you divide by 2, share that out amongst the 17 communities and have them make it up the following year. I just think that the poor Yonkers taxpayer, faced with a 24% increase that forces them out of their home potentially, is a little bit much to ask for a Russian roulette calculation that nobody controls. So I'm not going to. You and I won't come up with a solution tonight, but I do think the way it works is and I really appreciate you coming here tonight. But I think that with this, maybe the 17 legislators put their head together and the county executive. But I do think we